Hi everyone, my name is Jason and I'm the lead developmental editor at Ocean Reeve Publishing. Today I'm going to give you a few tips on how you can improve your writing, and I'm going to do that by focusing on character development. Now, as readers, what connects us to a good book? Usually, and most of the time, it's real, relatable characters. Characters that we can see something of ourselves in them or see something of somebody we know in them. This creates a connection, it creates engagement, and it creates buy-in. You want to know why they go about doing what they do. You want to know what happens to them, and you want to know how they do what they do. So when I was first getting into writing and I started writing my first book, my mentor told me to go and check out Marcel Proust's questionnaire. Now, I spoke about this very briefly in my last video about writing styles, and if you haven't already, totally suggest you go and check it out. It's about 30 questions aimed at asking you as the writer things, normally some of them are quite strange, things about your character. It gets you to think outside the picture and gets you to start to see how your character can be not only a character but a real personality. It asks you things like, what do they like? What's their favorite color? What do they like to eat? As well as strange things like, how do they like to die? What's their ideal version of paradise? What is the one thing that they can't stand to lose? Now, it's quite a long process and it does take a fair amount of time. And if you are an epic fantasy writer, you might have 30 plus characters that you need to go through these questions with to make sure that they're real and relatable. It took me a fair amount of time to go through this process with all my characters. So the further I moved down, the more I thought about finding a method that was quicker, a method that was faster and perhaps a little bit more simplistic. And I found one. It's called the decast method, and it's on a website written by the literary architect. Go and check it out. So decast stands for desires, conflict, action, stakes, and transformation. So working through, you write it like an acronym and you start working through each of your characters. So what we start with is D, desires. What does your character most desire? Here I'm not talking about what they desire for lunch or what they desire, in the bedroom. I'm talking about what their ultimate desire is. For example, and I use examples that are really primitive, so please forgive me. Let's talk about a farmer, a shepherd, who wants to find some buried treasure. That's his desire. He wants to find the buried treasure. But if we're writing a story, that could be potentially boring if we're just talking about him finding the treasure. So what do we add next? Is C, conflict. What is stopping your character from getting what they want? What is stopping them? Now can be either an external conflict, like somebody else going after what they want, or it could be an internal conflict stopping them. So for example, our farmer boy, our shepherd, he might be fearful. He might be suffering from self-doubt or self-deprecation. He's not sure if he can get out there. Something that the character has to overcome. Next is action. What action is your character going to take to help them resolve the conflict and get their desire? Now, this action can be lots of things, okay? It can be big picture things, it can be small picture things, but it has to be some sort of action that helps them overcome the conflict. Next is the stakes, and this is where you really start to create reader buy-in. What stakes? What happens if your character fails? What happens if your character wins? Are they going to lose something? Are they going to lose something that's precious to them? Are they going to lose somebody that they love? Is our shepherd boy going to lose his whole flock of sheep, which is his whole livelihood? Things like real stakes that the character feels, that the reader can buy into and understand and know. Clear stakes here are really, really important. Lastly is the transformation. What transformation does your character have to undergo to make the action, to resolve the conflict, and then obviously get the desire, get the goal, all whilst knowing these clear stakes. So like I said, that's the decast method. Desires, conflict, action, Stakes and transformation is a really succinct way in developing your characters and making them real and relatable for reader buy-in, because that's what we want as a reader. We want to have a character that we see ourselves in. We want to have a character that we want to know what happens to them. Why do they make the decisions, how they make the decisions, and what happens after the decisions. Thanks for listening today. I hope today's tip has helped you improve your writing just a little bit, and I'll see you here next time for my next video. Thanks for watching.